Yes, sir. We're officially back at it. This is Boog Nice coming at you, and I am pleased to announce that we are officially back at it here on the A.C.B.A. community channel. This is going to be the first episode of a monthly installment or a monthly show that we're doing. I believe the title of the show is going to be A.C.B.A. Saturday, so every first Saturday of the month this show should be airing. This is a very raw first episode, but I mean, we have some things worked out for the foreseeable future, and I'm really happy to get this thing kicked off. So what you're going to see here is a mixture of ACB artists from all over the world, bringing you unique content and giving you tips and tactics and just a little bit of everything. This is like a variety show of sorts.
This ain't for no scalper. You a scalper? Then fuck out shit. This one's for them real collectors. That's army building and posing figures. Marvel Legends, imports, mini matey I'm fucking with. Hype beast we know about you. Stay buying figs, don't know about.
So if you have absolutely no clue what articulated comic book art is, and this is your first time tuning into anything ACBA related, then I'm gonna just go ahead and give you the official description of articulated comic book art. So this will be a warm-up for some newbies, and this will just be a refresher for some people who've been around from day one. So articulated comic book art, abbreviated ACBA, is a visual art form first recognized June 15, 2009 by a passionate group of action figure collectors, and is best exemplified by the efforts of this community who display their work on YouTube as well as their homes and at their local hobby shops. The term articulated comic book art was coined by Kendall Gray, aka Boog Nice, and is his registered trademark with the USPTO. The term has come to represent a growing venture of display art in local venues such as comic book stores, hobby shops, toy comic book conventions, and other related outlets. At its most basic level, articulated comic book art is akin to the miniature dioramas found in many museums, and as the name implies, the subject matter is influenced by comic book superhero themes that pay homage to the Marvel, DC, and independent comic book universes, as well as manga and anime. ACBA makes use of highly articulated action figures in primarily the 1/12, 6-inch, or 1/18, 3 3/4 inch scale, incorporating elaborate background sets, dynamic dramatic lighting, scaled props, inserted paper dialogue balloons, and comic book style sound effects, with the end result emulating scenes lifted right from the source material. Due to the nature of this medium, the individual artist is not chained to any of these concepts, and liberties are often taken. Like I said, that is the official description of ACBA from the glossary of terms, and that was penned by Mike McBride, aka Nine Fires. Rest in peace to him. And let's get into this show, man.
Hey guys, Michael Whisman here, bringing you some cutout tips and tricks. Now I have a full cutout tutorial on my YouTube channel that you can check out if you want to learn how to make your cutouts from scratch. But I know a lot of you guys out there ordered the official ACBA cutout packages and are still having some trouble properly and cleanly outlining your cutout. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that today. Let's go. Alright, so the first thing you're going to need is the proper tools. Now, this is what I use. The Sharpie Ultrafine marker, okay, or Ultrafine point permanent marker. And it looks something like this. Alright, now I'm going to explain why I use this, why you should use this, and why you shouldn't use what other people have been recommending. Now a lot of people try to recommend these type of pens or pigment liners, such as the Micron Pigma liners, because they can get very small. This is a 005 tip or nib, and you can barely even see it, it's tiny. Or a more common brand, the Stettler pigment liners, same concept, the tiny nibs. Now these are great, amazing for drawing and inking, but for outlining your cutouts, these are very bad. A lot of people think because they're small, it's better to control and you won't mess up, but actually that's not true. Now if you go too small, it's not going to properly go around the cutout because the cutout's on cardstock, it's a little bit thicker. So if you're working with like a 005 nib, that's actually going to be smaller than the width of the paper, so it's not even going to cover it. And these don't dry properly around the edge of a cutout, and so it'll lead to smudging, or like when you go to touch it, you know, it'll just rub off, because these are not meant to be handled. These are for, like, you know, architecture or art. They're not meant to be touched. And a lot of people will use standard Sharpie markers, but those are just way too big. That's the fastest way to ruin your cutout. People grab a regular Sharpie and try to just, you know, even if they're being careful, it's a felt tip nib. It's meant to just flow out the ink, so it'll just flood your cutout and smudge it up and ruin it. Now you want to use this because you get the best of both worlds. You get a smaller nib and you get a little bit of bleed, which you want, because when you're cutting a cutout, and this one's already done, but when you cut a cutout, you're actually flaking off just a tiny bit of the ink when you're going over it. And so the bleed not only will make the edge black, but it'll just enough fill in that black line so you get that solid black border around it. And that's why you want to use the Sharpie ultra fine point markers above any of these other tools. Alright, so here's how we outline them. Assuming you got your cutout all done, what I do is I flip it over first, and you can see it hasn't been touched yet. And you get your ultra fine point marker and very carefully yet quickly go over it. Boom. You know, you don't want to sit too long, because the more you sit on a spot, the more it's going to bleed. You just kind of want to get it done. Now once you get the back side done, you're going to want to flip it over and do the exact same thing around the front. And the reason you do it on both sides is so that it properly fills in the entire border. Don't worry too much about what this is going to look like, because you're almost never going to see the back side of a cutout. You know, when you're using it properly, you're only going to see this front side. Alright, so here's where these other tools come in handy. Is when you mess up a cutout, I don't know if you'll be able to see, but there's just like a little bit of bleed here, a little smudgy on the inside of this bead right here. Now is when you can use these, where it's going to sit on top of the paper, not on the edge. You take this, again the small nib, you go in, and you basically just go over where the bleed is to smooth it out and make it look like a straight line. And if you do it cleanly enough, you'll never be able to tell there was a bleed there. Now, it just looks like the rest of the border. Boom. Now this, let's say you bleed onto white. You want to get a white gel pen. I use this because, again, it's just a small tip. I'm sure you could use white out or maybe even white paint, but it's a little more hazardous, you know, when you're trying to be clean with it. So I use a white gel pen. Make sure you get it going. Okay. Now, right here, it bled into the white a little, so what I'm going to do is with the white gel pen, fill in that white line there. Boom. And then give it a second to dry. And this isn't always necessary, but if you need to go back again, let's say you put a little bit too much white, once again you just go back with a pigment liner and very carefully clean up that black edge. And boom, there you go, you fixed the bleed. And now when you're taking pictures or just looking at it, it just is white with the black border, no mess up. Now if you get real close and scrutinize it, I mean, yeah, you can tell there's a little bit of a difference, but this is all minor stuff. So hopefully these helped you out, and you can get all these nice cutouts going in your shots. Alright, moving on.
What's up? It's the Incurable Collector, here to really briefly talk about now, a display is an artful arrangement of figures posed in such a way as to suggest action or even activity. Now, displays can fall into one or more subcategories.
And for this video here, I'll be focusing on now. Face Off is pretty self-explanatory. It's a scene that encompasses two figures battling each other. They're facing off. And that's what I have on display here. We have Naruto Uzumaki facing off against his best friend, his rival, Sasuke Uchiha. So I try to convey a sense of action, right? A sense of activity. You have Sasuke, he's firing off his fire style jutsu. There you can see the eruption, the explosion. Obviously Naruto is using his Shadow Clone Jutsu. That's what I was trying to convey with the mini Narutos there. Now I'm using a bunch of different effects to try to convey that action. I'm using the Tamashi explosion effects there. Kind of have those effects there to kind of convey a sense of movement as he's firing off his jutsu. You can see the smoke effects. I think that's well represented here.
Hey, what's up? My name is Mike. I'm going to be filming a segment today about collages. It's a relatively new concept to me, but I was asked to teach about it, and you know, based on the certain skill sets that I've learned so far from the A.C.B.A. page, I feel like I've been able to put together a decent shot for you guys to sort of illustrate the concept of a collage. I've learned a lot from the A.C.B.A. page, and you know, I'd love to impart my knowledge on all the newcomers. So yeah, here we go. So right here we got a poster of the Empire Strikes Back. I typically go on Google and I research whatever it is, you know, I feel like trying to do. So in this case I tried to do a collage, and you know, I spoke with Boog, and he mentioned a movie poster, and so I went with my favorite movie of all time, The Empire Strikes Back. And you know, seeing Vader and the Emperor in the back, it really, you know, gave me an idea for how to set my shot up. Alright guys, so here is my current setup for my interpretation of what I think a collage should look like. Essentially it's divided into three components. You have Vader at the pinnacle here, then you have the Emperor, his, you know, interpersonal battle between him and Luke, and then the final shot is with the band of heroes and the Millennium Falcon. Three things that I think are really important to a shot are symmetry, lighting, and realism. So in this case, I use sort of a descending order for the shot. So you have, you know, from highest to lowest point. It adds a little bit of, you know, aesthetic value to the shot. Lighting, again, is really important. Like, I used my LED over this group here to give a sense of separation. Then I have the lighting for the lightsabers, and you know, I have a lighting directed directly into the Emperor's eyes to give you that sort of menacing look. You know, I have no light really pointed at his cloak. It's not really an important part of the shot. Having really good lighting can direct the viewer to what you want them to see. It's realism. The more realistic the shot looks, the better it is, just in my opinion. As you can see with the green light here, it's coming up towards, you know, from Luke's hip coming upwards. And that replicates exactly what would happen if the lightsaber was actually in his hand. Same thing with Vader. You have the light going directly towards his face. Yeah, this is what I came up with, and hope you guys enjoy it. I'll show you the final shot now.
Yo, what up? This is Al Chang, and in this segment I'm going to be covering A.C.B.A. glossary term, got you covered. And for the new guys, I'm going to break it down to you. It's real simple. Got you covered is pretty much your best rendition of any comic book cover. Doesn't matter what it is. This is my simple setup. It's nothing crazy, but you know, you can use props, cutouts. The only thing you don't want to go towards is Photoshop. So if you want the title up there, you know, print out the actual title if you can, and then find a way to prop it up. This one, if I post it, I'm going to post it just like this, but I'm going to find the right angle. As far as the cover that inspired this setup is the Avengers Initiative disassembled right here. It's real simple, you know. I try to get their poses as close to this as possible. Sometimes it's not as easy because, you know, articulation, but this is as close as I can get it. Once I shoot it, I'll find the right angle, I'll make it all fit. But that is pretty much A.C.B.A. glossary term got you covered. So I hope that was helpful. I hope I was able to break it down for you and shed some light. So go out there, grab your figures, snap away, have fun. All right, peace.
What is up, A.C.B.A. community? It's your boy, Flipnosis, and I'm coming to you guys with a quick video talking about portrait. It's in the glossary of terms. So to me, portrait is a quick snap of whatever characters you want in a simple, relaxed display. Above all else, it's aesthetically pleasing. It looks good to the naked eye at first glance. And that's what we talk about when we do a portrait. Everybody is focused. Everybody is looking towards the subject, which is the camera. And that's what I consider a good portrait photo. So I'm going to do another example real quick. Alright, here's another example. Moving on, we have Avengers Assemble. This time I use a total of 6 characters. If we were to draw a line right down the middle, everything is uniform. It's a mirror image of each other. The fun part about doing these portrait style shots is that there's no limit to a maximum amount of characters. You can keep going and going and going. However, what you don't want to do is compromise the shot. So now we got a fuller team, added a total of 4 more characters, and as I said, I could keep going and going if I wanted to. However, the hardest part of doing a bigger group shot like this is that the bigger your group is, the further you have to shoot from, therefore you're losing a little bit of focus. So I mean, as I said, it's fun to add as much as you want, but you don't want to compromise the shot. You don't want to have a blurry head here, but as you can see, everyone is prominent, everyone's relaxed, and everybody's looking forward. And yeah, that's that. Alright, y'all, on the next one. Hope you guys enjoyed my little take on portrait. Make sure you guys follow me on Instagram, flip_nosis. It's the same for my YouTube channel. Catch me guys on the flip side. This was fun. I had a blast. Make sure you guys keep it crispy. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
What's up guys, it's Raspberry Chainsaw and we're just going to take a quick look at this super simple setup showing you 2 things that we use doing A.C.B.A. And the first one is the more obvious one. It's a crossover. You know, it's basically having 2 figures from 2 different universes, you know, whether it be comic related or something from a TV show, you know, in one coherent display. Now right here we got Spider-Man 2099 in a one-on-one against Kamen Rider XL, you know. Spider-Man's obviously from the Marvel Universe. We've seen him, you know, everywhere. While XL down there, who's about to get dunked on, is from the Kamen Rider universe. You know, real simple. Almost any character can be used for this. And if you're just starting out in A.C.B.A., you know, trying to get things going, consider having a simple crossover display. Now, the second thing we'll take a quick look at is NSA, and that stands for no strings attached. And at its root, it's a display that uses heavy balancing and figure positioning without any sort of stand at all. No fishing lines, no hidden stands, you know, no cheese wax. It's all purely balance. And these setups can be anything from, you know, someone vaulting over a fence or delivering a kick on just the figure's toe hinges or something like that, you know. Now, this setup shows you what NSA looks like at its most basic form. The only thing holding these two up are XL's own feet down there. You know, it helps that his feet are made of die cast, so the extra weight, you know, kind of helps in balancing the two. But Spider-Man up there is being held up solely by his hand being dug into XL's neck, along with XL's arm kind of holding it in place up there. You also see XL's knees being bent a little down there to counter the weight of Spider-Man hanging off of XL the way he is. Just going through a quick 360, we can see there aren't any hidden stands behind these two. You know, NSA is nothing but pure balance and counterweighting the figures together.
Hi, it's Dave Johnson here. It's Wednesday the 22nd of April 2015. In less than an hour we're going to see the midnight launch of Avengers Age of Ultron. Really excited for the movie. I've just finished doing a little bit of an A.C.B.A. display in the cabinet. Wanted to get some members of the new Avengers team in there. We're going to be heading out any minute now, so I'll speak to you soon. Okay, we've just got to Liverpool 1 Odeon. I've got my tickets. I'll see you in 3 hours with a little spoiler-free rundown of... Okay, we've just got back from seeing Age of Ultron. I really enjoyed the film. I like how all of the new characters were introduced. The pacing and screen time was quite evenly distributed. I think Hawkeye was handled better in this movie. The first movie is kind of shoehorned in. We didn't get to see much of his personality, but in this one I found him to be a much more likeable character. Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver were interesting. They didn't have as much input as I thought they would to the film, but overall they do come into their kind of own throughout the course of the movie. Ultron is handled very differently in this. In the comics he's a clinical and cold robot, but in the new film he's got that Tony Stark humour. So I thought that was different, but at the same time it was quite good. It's kind of the robotic Loki of the new movie, so it's going to be attractive to your average person. There's some changes at the end of the film. I'm not going to tell you what they are, but they've really piqued my interest. I cannot wait to see what's coming next from the cinematic universe. And finally, my favourite thing about the whole film is Vision. Because when I first seen the design I wasn't quite sold on it, but they explain his look. The display his powers, not all of his powers, but they do show his powers in an interesting way. And I really do look forward to seeing more of him in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Okay, so that was my thoughts on Avengers Age of Ultron. I hope when you see it you enjoy it as much as I did. I'll see you soon.
Hey guys, this is CJ. This is... Christopher Thor. You little jerk! And today we'll show you how to do epic epic battles. I'm gonna show you guys a diagram that I made for this display. It's always nice to have a plan whenever you're doing a display, just so you don't waste any materials whenever you're doing dioramas. You don't buy extra figures that you're not really gonna use, and it just makes it more easier for any display, especially for epic battles. Whenever you're doing epic battles, it's really important that you do some sort of interaction within characters. So for example, you would see this guy right here. He's looking at the Hulk, because He's obviously done with Captain America. This guy was actually fighting Captain America and now he has his shield. Like little stuff like that, right? Once I was done with the planning, I decided on what diorama I was gonna make. So I decided on a staircase inside the Avengers Mansion. And then after that, I worked on the effects and then the cutouts right here. And just like with any other displays that you're doing, it's really important that whatever props that you put in your display, it should make sense. Like you can't just put a DC character in a like a Marvel display, right? So for example, Vision is Ultron's creation, so it would only make sense if you put him right here in the display, right? Whenever you can, try to add some small details on your display. It really makes it a lot more interesting to look at, and just don't overdo it. This thing right here is actually a laser pointer. Also, make sure that your figures look good in different angles. This is really important, especially when you're doing video. It gives you more options with your angles. And then right here you'll see Ultron being punched in the face while in the middle of saying something. As you can see, but I got punched. So, and I actually have a few of those. Another one right here. And of course, it wouldn't be Ultron without a submit or perish cutout right here. Any cutout that you do, make sure it makes sense. Make sure it actually belongs to the character. So there you go, guys. That's it for epic battles.
That's crispy.
That's crispy. Alright, see you guys.
See ya. Hey, that's me.
Hey, what's up, you guys? BrandAsauresRex here, coming at you on the A.C.B.A. community YouTube page. So what brings me here today is to teach you guys, or to tell you guys about MSD. If you guys don't know what MSD is, that is multi-scale displays. So that phrase was first coined by Luis Maldonado. So multi-scale displays is basically an A.C.B.A. style display where you will use 2 or more figures from 2 different lines where they will be in some type of fight or whatever, and you try to blend them as well as possible. So for my first example, I have the Diamond Select Thanos and the Marvel Legends Nova. So these guys are not in scale together when you put them together standing straight up. But in this display where Nova seems to be defeated and about to give Thanos a run for his money with this comeback effect that's right down below the bottom of the screen on the right hand side. As you can see, he's charging up his fist so you could power punch him in the face while Thanos is charging the Infinity Gauntlet. You can see that this could work because Thanos is so much farther away than the Nova. So here we have a second display, and it is Godzilla 2000 versus Gamera 2. I chose these 2 figures because 1, I am a huge Godzilla fan, and 2, because I wanted to show you how you could use multi-scale displaying as a way to show your characters in different light. So what I mean by that is Godzilla 2000 is mostly known as a hero, but I wanted to show him off as being the villain of this battle, or the aggressor in this battle. So what I did was I chose the Gamera Revoltech figure instead of the SH Monster Arts figure because of the fact that the Gamera figure is almost the same size. So I used the Revoltech figure because of the fact that it's smaller to show that Godzilla was more stronger or more powerful than Gamera, which would mean the fight is uneven. So you would be voting for Gamera to win because you want the little guy to win. You don't want Godzilla to win, which is cool. And that's how you could work your displays, by showing something different, by using multi-scale displaying, or MSD. And that is the power of multi-scale displaying, and I think that is a perfect way to do it. So I hope with this video I have explained enough where you understand how multi-scale displaying works and how you can implement your figures in a multi-scale display. So with that being said, I will implore you to check out the A.C.B.A. Facebook page. Make sure to check out the folders within the page and study those photos like it's your homework, because those guys are doing some incredible things. So I would also like to invite you guys to my YouTube channel at youtube.com/BrandAsauresRex. If
you guys do not know who I am, the link will be down below to my YouTube channel. You can check it out there. And yeah, so I hope to see you guys there to see more awesome displays like this and also more Godzilla reviews. So with that being said, I will check you guys out next time. Peace.
G'day A.C.B.A. fans, it's Mashville here, just recording a little segment for A.C.B.A. Saturdays on panels. So my main focuses today are going to be about panel composition and like movement transitions with like posing through the panels. So we've got the first shot set up here, pretty simple. It's just going to be a little fight between Daredevil and Bullseye, probably only 3 or 4 panels. Keep it short, so yeah, this is the first shot. Alright guys, so here we are back at it with panel 2. So obviously the first thing you notice is the posing's changed. Obviously Bullseye was leaning back with the knife, going for a lunge. Daredevil's just dodged it here, and we're just making sure that the movement seems fluid and is going to transition nicely through the panels. Tell a nice story through the artwork. Yeah, on to panel 3. It's pretty time consuming doing these ones, you'll find when you so I usually try to keep it to as minimal figures as possible, then you don't have to worry about resetting everything all the way through your panels. Alright, see you on the other side. Okay guys, here we are, third panel. So yep, movement transitions is what we're all about. That's what we're going for. Just Daredevil's caught Bullseye slipping, smacked him with his billy club. A nice cutout sitting up on there. And yep, just going to go ahead and set up the 4th panel now. Okay, here we go with the last panel. Nice and simple finish. So after this it's just a matter of figuring out what app, or if you use Photoshop, putting it all together with Photoshop or whatever app you're using on iPad or phone or whatever, and then yeah, just figuring out what kind of layout you want. I'll slide a finished version of the shot in after all this and show you guys how it all went. Hope you enjoyed the segment guys, see ya.
Minute Men Reviews.
Hey everybody, what's good? Pancheezy here from Posing Ain't Easy, coming at you with a Minuteman review. So, as you just saw, the figure that we're reviewing today is the SH Figuarts Vegito figure. And I know what you're thinking, Pancheezy, oh my god, that's not even available in the United States right now. How did you get it? That's because it's the Japanese release. For those of you who don't know, the SH Figuarts Dragon Ball usually releases in Japan first, a full month ahead of the US release. The only time it's any different is when Comic-Con exclusives roll through. So now all the technicalities are out of the way, let's go ahead and get down to brass tacks and see what this figure's all about. Start the timer. I don't know who I'm talking to, it's just me editing this video. The SH Figuarts Vegito figure is a mixed bag, but it's definitely a mixed bag that you're going to want to pick up. Now, if you're a veteran to the line, one of the first things you may have noticed is they're still using that same old Goku mold, but they went ahead and stepped their game up by introducing a brand new head and face mold that really kicks things up a notch. Taking a page right out of its source material, earlier entries in this line kind of had a circular, kind of softer edge kind of art style and sculpt style, but now this Vegito is really breaking the mold with really sharp lines and really defined features. If you compare the sculpting and paintwork to early entries in the line, you can definitely see that when it comes to the face and hair, Vegito is a cut above the rest. And when you couple that with the fact that he comes with a number of different accessories that cater to both his Super Saiyan and non-Super Saiyan forms, this definitely makes it a worthy entry to the Dragon Ball Z SH Figuarts line. And there you have it. There's my 2 cents about the Dragon Ball Z SH Figuarts Vegito figure. Now, if you guys are hungry for more, I definitely have a full in-depth review about this figure on my own personal channel. All you really have to do is search Pancheezy right here on YouTube. And also, if you're interested in more A.C.B.A., I definitely have an A.C.B.A. centered show called Posing Ain't Easy, and you can find that right here on YouTube as well. And if you guys want to find me online, here's my online handle for basically everything else. But in the meantime, enjoy the rest of the show. Peace.
What up, posers? It's the DMC, and in this segment I'll be going over the A.C.B.A. fundamental of the pose. Now, the pose in A.C.B.A. terms is the position of the figure. Posing is the activity of manipulating the figure into a pose. An articulated artist strives to make these poses anatomically correct, incorporating anatomy and physics into the positioning of the figure. Basically, does the figure look natural in what he's doing? Does he look right? Is there a fluidity to what he's doing? Now, this segment could easily be a half an hour to an hour for me explaining you how to pose your figures, but ain't nobody got time for that. So I'm just going to give you the highlights just so you can get a little bit of better understanding of posing in what A.C.B.A. expects in terms of posing. Now, for instance, this guy here, he's throwing a punch. Okay? How do we know he's throwing a punch? He's got his arms extended. He's got his closed fist, his arms extended. But does he really look natural in what he's doing? Look how stiff he looks. When's the last time you saw a person just standing there, basically just standing there, throwing a punch? Okay. Now, moving right along, we have this guy right here. And look how fluid his body looks in that punch. He's got his left leg extended, leading the punch. Right arm extended, almost giving you a right cross there. You can tell he's really stepping into that punch compared to this guy here. You know, if you're stuck for a pose, best thing you can do is look into the mirror, throw a punch or whatever you're trying to do, look in the mirror and see how your body looks doing it. Or look to the comics. The artists have done their homework on the human anatomy. They know how it works. So look to the comics for inspiration and start trying out poses that you see in the comics, especially for Spider-Man, since he's got all those weird poses swinging around. You know, try that. You know, movies, you know, put it on pause and see how the body looks. You know, throwing a punch, kicking, doing whatever. But you want to put some effort into what you're doing. This is not going to work here. Okay, him just standing here, it doesn't even look natural. But I see that all the time. Okay, that's not natural. This, you might say, hey, well, that's a little exaggerated. Well, yeah, of course it's going to be exaggerated. He's a superhero. So, on some posing, it's going to be a little exaggerated. Just like in the comics. If you look at the comics, 90% of those poses, especially in fight scenes, they're exaggerated because it looks cool. They're superheroes. They're doing stuff like that. Okay, look at that. If you took a shot, a cap, you know, punching some guy, you know, it's gonna look a lot cooler than if Hap was just standing there punching a guy. You know, start messing around with your figure. Start moving all the joints around. You know, look at that. All right, practice, practice, practice. You know, start posting with that hashtag WTGO, what to grind on, and ask people for advice. But like I said, if you're stuck on posing, look for some comics and look into a mirror. Can't stress that enough. Look into the mirror. If you're not sure on a pose, you know, do it yourself and see how it would look. And then exaggerate it just a little. Because these are superheroes. So everything about them, from their size to their powers, it's all exaggerated. Alright, so that's it for now. Hopefully that's giving you a little taste of posing. If you have any questions, find me on Facebook or on Instagram at the DMC, and I'll help you out. But for now, that's it.
Yes, your boy's back at it. This is your boy John Connor. I'm bringing you props. Props is basically any object or item that you find that you could put in your display. Mostly 1/12 scale and 1/18 scale. Mini mates 1/24. I don't know. Then you got 1/6 scale. So I got a couple things here. You see, I got the kitchen here, which everybody's probably this thing, but we're gonna focus on the props. Here I got a bunch of stuff everywhere. These I can't really tell you. I got these at a toy show. This is like a bunch of Asian food and Vietnamese food, Japanese, the whole thing. But what I can tell you is, easiest way to get props, you go to Hobby Lobby, Michaels. The Michaels out here is kind of, hit or miss, but Hobby Lobby always has stuff like this newspaper thing, stuff like this. They're really nice. This is actually from Dale Earnhardt figure, but the best props to me are from the Palisades Muppet Babies. You got this kitchen, got all type of things. Look at that, you got like a popcorn machine. Where else can you get stuff? Simpsons, stuff like this. This is a little cartoony, a little oversized, but you can make it work. And Tamashii Flames, they're making stuff too, or Tamashii, Bandai, whatever. They're making stuff like this. So you get that. Also at Toys R Us, you got this Mini World stuff. You got a couple things here. You got little pizza slices like this. All right, let's keep it moving. Bunch of props from different lines. Palisades. This is like from WWE. You want to get the old Jakks Pacific line. They got the grapple gear. You got a wheelchair, crutches, a stretcher. You got stuff like this. You got a wooden box, a breakaway table, garbage can. All right, let's keep it rolling. Right here we got a 1/6 scale comic blade. Once again, props. When you're at these cons or at these shows and you see the 12-inch G.I. Joe figures, like, go over there, man, because I get bags of this stuff cheap, $4 or $5, just bags of it. Grenades, smoke, yellow smoke, green smoke, big ass guns that collapse, clips with the little bullets, suitcases. They got all type of stuff. Just check those out. You got flashlights, canteens, book bags. Look at that book bag, that's dope. And you can mess with it. Give it some depth, good scale, and you can make it happen. All right, I'm out.
What's up, everybody? Paint Samurai here, aka JD or JD Megs, what most of you guys will know me as. We're going to talk about a technique we use in A.C.B.A. called still motion. And still motion is a technique which employs multiples of the same figure or object posed in a manner as to suggest a movement. As you can see, like right here, We got Spider-Man running, and then he'll like vault over the side here, and then he lands down on this here. Wanted to keep it stand free, no wax or nothing, just real simple, so you kind of get the idea of what I'm talking about. Alright, and if you hold on a second, I'll give you a look at another still motion display, but this time we're going to use an object instead of multiple figures. So, hang on just a second. Alright, now we'll have a look at still motion with an object instead of a character or a figure. Here we're going to use cap shield, but it can be done with like, I guess maybe an arrow from one of the archer characters, or batarangs, of course, and stuff like that. Just about any object or something that could be thrown around or something like this. Something that, you know, would make sense, I guess, to be able to ricochet or something. But like you see the little trail there, I kind of try to put something on there. I mean, unless it's dead obvious. I mean, it's obvious, but if you just put something on there to kind of give you the viewer an idea of which way the motion's going. I mean, it's obvious where he threw his shield first, but you get what I'm saying. It adds a little flash to it too. These are just mediocre little stand-ins to get my point across, but you guys get it. You can see, you can follow the motion. He throws it, ricochets off, and nails these guys, you know. This stuff works really well, like for like videos and stuff. The A.C.B.A. like videos, because you know, you can follow the motion like that. And with Spider-Man earlier, when I started at the beginning and came across, sorry, moving you guys around there. But cool, well, I hope this video was somewhat informative for you. And I guess practice, do what you can, give it a try.
Alright, so I'm going to be going over one of the A.C.B.A. glossary of terms, transformation. So, transformation is a still motion-like sequence that depicts a shape-shifting character, i.e. the Hulk, changing their form from their mild-mannered alter ego to their superhuman selves. So what I got going on here is not the Hulk, but I got the Good Doctor, Kurt Connors, transforming into the Lizard. It's a good old-fashioned raw A.C.B.A. display in the DTOF. Feeling good, feeling great. Alright. So yeah, what I would have to say, the key point in transformation display is definitely the flow of the transformation. You really want to sell that transformation as best as you can. You know, you want to get that perfect angle in your shot. If you're doing an A.C.B.A. pick, or if you're doing an A.C.B.A. video, you're gonna want to pan through it just right. You know, take your time and you know, work your way through that transformation as best as possible, so you can sell that to the audience. You know, you really want to take them through that experience of the character changing. So, you know. By the way, shout out to the homie Dave Johnson. He's the one that had the idea of throwing in the first appearance Lizard into a transformation sequence. So I thought that was a dope idea, so shout out to him for that. But yeah, definitely gotta say that it's the flow of the transformation. Really wanna get that down before anything, and then, you know, obviously you have, you know, have your posing down and your cutouts and everything else. So, but that flow of the transformation is what's really gonna help your display out. All right, you guys. Well, this is Configure, bringing you guys a quick example of a transformation display. Hope this was helpful to some of you, and hope you guys enjoyed and continue to enjoy the A.C.B.A. channel.
What's up guys, Wylun Customs here, and today we're going to talk about kit bashing. Now, kit bashing, defined from the A.C.B.A. website, is the practice of modifying an action figure to achieve some result other than intended by the original manufacturer. Now, what does that mean? Basically, you're just trying to create the best figure you can, using the skill set you have, using the parts at your disposal, and most importantly, using your imagination. Now these are all examples of kit bashing, but in the end it could be a small job, it could be a big job. For instance, this Batman figure, you know, simple job. I love the base, I just want to change the head, the cowl, and the cape, and there you go. And you could be a little more advanced. You could take a totally different character and figure and change them totally. Right here we have a Daredevil figure that I took and I created him into Deadpool, recasted the head, new accessories, repainted the figure. You know, that's a bigger job, more advanced. But in kit bashing, like I said before, you're just trying to create the best figure you can, using what imagination you have. Always trying to keep your eye open for different parts and pieces from different figures. In the end, always trying to create the best figure that you can make. Now, you know, you're gonna start off small. Always practice. I've been doing this for a couple years. I'm always still learning new techniques, new ways of making new figures, and I'm not the best. You know, you're always gonna get better. Don't be discouraged. Always have fun doing this, and most importantly, always do it the way you want to do it. Everyone has their own preference, their own vision of how a certain character could look like. Always make it the way you want it to look like, because in the long run, you have more fun doing that project, you have more dedication doing it, and always a big benefit at it. I mean, like I said before, these are all different examples. Even back there, I have a nice Thor figure that I used from the Masters of the Universe base figure. These two right here are kit bashed figures from different accessories and different figures, like this Captain America figure. I love Captain America. I want to make a nice homage to the fact that he is the first Marvel Legends figure, in my opinion. So I used the base figure from the old Toy Biz. The arms and forearms and gloves are from Hasbro figures. Also the boots over here, and the head and the belt. You know, just trying to get the best parts you can to make the best figure you can. And like I said before, everyone has their own preference on how a figure should look like. So for instance, this Punisher figure, a lot of people might like the more classical black and white Punisher. I like my Punisher to be a little bit more tactical, a little more SWAT. So right here, I try to achieve that. And like I said before, always keep your eyes out on different parts, because the vest over here I got from a NECA Kick-Ass figure, and it works great in my opinion. So you never know, you know, you could be walking down a toy aisle, you see a figure you might not like, but the accessories it comes with, you might be able to work with it. And kit bashing doesn't just stop at toy action figures. Also try your best at making different customs and kit bashing projects from vehicles as well. Back here I have a nice Batmobile. When you get this Batmobile, it came blue with orange rims. Kind of ugly, but if you look at the base of it, at the sculpt of it, it's a great looking Batmobile. So, you know, repainting it, you know, something simple, repainting something in the long run can make it a lot better. So this is just a nice brief overview of kit bashing. Kit bashing really could help, you know, a lot of collectors. It gets, you know, it's a hobby itself, obviously, and you know, in the end, everyone just wants the best figure they could have in their collection. And when you have that, it really helps in A.C.B.A. because if you love your figures, you're going to want to take a lot of pictures of them, of course. So this is just a brief overview of kit bashing. If you have more questions or information you want to know, head over to my website at WylunCustoms.com. Follow me at YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. And of course, I have a lot of tutorials and tips videos on how to do all of these. So that's about it, guys. Thanks for watching.
Alright, so this is pretty much most of the time when people start working on dials, they start with this size. So this is an 8-foot by 2 feet, 1 inch thick insulation foam board. When I first started making dials, I would just grab these sheets. Obviously, you can get a lot of dials out of here. But eventually, what started happening is that the way these are packaged, they started coming out a little bit warped. So what I started doing is, and I'm sorry, the price of these are like 12 bucks, which is a pretty good deal. What I started doing after a while is I went over to these over here and started getting these 2x2 panels. And they're packaged a little bit differently, so they don't warp as much. The only thing is that with these, you're paying about $6, $5.50. So they're a little more expensive. I usually use these for commissions. If I'm doing some personal projects, I'll get the longer board. But this is pretty much what is being used for the most part in the dial structure group. Most A.C.B.A. artists. Doesn't mean that this is the only thing you're gonna build your dials, because you can make them out of wood, you can make them out of cardboard. It's up to you as an artist. And that's the this is the official price tag and SKU information. For the ones that again are generally used, that doesn't mean that this is the only size. They also have some thicker foam. It's about 1.5 inches. I think they have up to 2 inches, and they have a 3/4 of an inch. And they're usually stacked up just like this. So this is what you're looking for when you get to Home Depot. Lowe's carries them a little bit differently. They're usually green. They're not the pink stuff. And I've never seen 1/2 inch, or I'm sorry, 1 inch thick. I've always seen 2 inch thick. So I usually work on the 1 inch thick. So yeah, Home Depot. And this is what you're looking at. So what I'm gonna do today is I'm gonna show you guys how to cut the insulation foam board. I think a lot of times what happens is people believe that you have to kind of go through the whole board, and because it's 1 inch thick, that's not a good idea. You would need a pretty long blade, and then what happens is you try to go on the cut several times, and you don't have to do that. So I'm gonna show you a real quick way of how to cut this to the exact specifications that you want. So in this case, I'm actually working on a dial which is gonna be 18 inches across. So what I usually do, and it's going to be 12 inches tall. So what I usually do is I have one of these longer rulers, and I usually do the metal ruler just because when I'm slicing, it'll be safe from, I don't know, the blade itself kind of cutting into the ruler. So in this case, we're going to go 12 inches tall. So all I'm going to do is just measure from the bottom and just mark it up at the top. And the same thing on the other side, and the reason you're doing that is because you want to match up the ruler, and you want to make sure that you get the height exactly how you want it. So this dial I'm working on is going to be 12 inches tall, and it's going to be 18 inches across. So I did the measurements for the height, and then I'm just going to go over here and do the measurements for the length of it. And so, once I have my markings down, what I usually use is you can use whatever. I use this Husky one. One of the reasons I like it is because it kind of has a level where you can kind of push the blade up a little bit, or you can kind of set it in. So that kind of gives you a little more freedom in terms of cutting deeper. And it also has a hidden blade holder. So this is the one I use, but you can use any box cutter type blade. So what I do in this case is I just, from the markings that I made of the height, I start to cut. Now keep this in mind, if you're cutting and you cut up to here and you keep the placement of one of your hands there, then what's going to happen is the force of you making sure you're running it across the line is going to make the ruler move. So what you want to do is you want to cut it up to probably where my thumb is. So I have it lined up. I'm going to right about where my thumb is, and all I do is just shift my hand lower and keep slicing across the ruler. And that's all you need, because what happens now, you have the cut, and all you have to do is put it on the side of the table, and it snaps off perfectly. So that's basically just wanted to give you guys a quick heads up on cutting the board. The next segment I'm going to create or work on is magnetizing the dials. I do have a quick tutorial on my YouTube page, but I want to expand that a little bit. So that'll be the next segment. Thank you very much, y'all. Peace.
Army building. So what does army building means? Well, army building is not a term exclusive to A.C.B.A., but it has been used in the action figure community for the longest time. This practice involves collecting multiples of the same figure or characters. Why would you want to do that? It won't make sense for people who doesn't collect, doesn't display their toy. This is useful for displaying your toys. For example, if you want to display stormtroopers, just like my example here, you will hardly show the trooper by himself. At least you will have 2 or 3 of them displayed at the same time. You want to have them facing the protagonist, in this case Sharifan and Sider, or have them interacting with each other, Another example of characters that you want an army build are Hydra Soldiers, AIM Scientists, Shield Agents, Revoltic Skeleton Soldiers, Cobra Soldiers, Ultrons, Skrulls, Kree, Brute, even that new Agent Coulson. How many figures are considered an army? It depends. Everyone have their own definitions. Some people consider 10 or above is an army. Some people consider 20 or above is an army. It's really up to you. There's no fixed number, but generally it is above 5. Some army builders are hard to get and can be very expensive. For example, Mandroid Bath, that costs around $40 to $50. So 4 of them would cost $160 to $200. Another expensive one is Revoltic Skeleton, that can cost upward of $70, or Sentinel Bath, that would cost you around $75 each. But some army builders are cheaper, like for example the Star Wars Black Series Stormtroopers. It was on sale in Amazon for $15, and even today we have another sale for $15. $15.99 to be exact. Or that Marvel Select Ultron. It was on sale for $4 at one time. So this practice can get really expensive really quickly, or cheap, depending on what army you're trying to build. My suggestion is when you see an army building figure on the cheap, when they have a discount or sale, get as many as you can, because in a few years those figures will be hard to find, because many people will hoard them. I'm going to show you another example here. This is a picture that I recently did with Ultrons. Now, I only have 6 Ultrons here. That's all I really need to fill out the frame with some good placement. Because when taking picture with army builders, you want to consider the placement of the figure carefully. So that 1, you will not clutter the picture. 2, you can distinguish each figure. Sometimes people overlap between all these similar figures so that you cannot tell which limb belongs to who, which head belongs to who, and that's no good. 3, to hide whatever you want to hide. In this case, I'm using them to hide the stands. So, let's bring this segment on army building to an end. I hope you enjoyed. God bless.
That'll do it for this week. Thanks for watching. Remember that this is our trial run, so we have some kinks to work out, but there'll be plenty of content and more videos to come. Make sure you make your way to the A.C.B.A. fan page, where there's a couple contests coming to an end tomorrow, May 3rd. Photo Combat finally comes to an end. There's only 2 contestants left. Make sure you go show your support and find out who comes out victorious. Also, ending tomorrow at 11:59 Eastern Standard Time. Show off your movie tickets for Avengers 2 Age of Ultron for a chance to win an Avengers related prize. The Marauders Gunrunner contest is still running. Make sure you get your entries in. See the A.C.B.A. fan page for more details. Pack 2 of the A.C.B.A. cutouts will be on pre-order next Friday. Do not delay in pre-ordering these. These will sell out very quickly. This is pack 1. It's sold out in like hours. So you do not want to delay on these at all. This is a great starter pack for anybody that's thinking about getting an A.C.B.A. or if you're a vet. I mean, these, I've been in A.C.B.A. since day 1 and I use these like crazy now. These are great. In this display you'll see an example of some of them. You can see where they're crisp, they're easy to use, wax is included. You got everything you need right here in this pack. I'm telling you, they will sell out like hotcakes. I know I'm going to buy some. So do not delay on getting any of these. Another pre-order to look out for will be official A.C.B.A. flight stands. I expect these to sell out just as quickly as the cutouts did. They will look similar to this, except a lot more official. They'll come in different sizes. More details on that coming soon. Make sure you check out the website for all your purchases. You can get everything A.C.B.A. merch related there on the website. The link will be in the description along with a bunch of other links associated with this video today. That'll do it for this ep. Make sure you stay tuned. There's a lot of exciting things coming from A.C.B.A. down the pipeline. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Check the links in the description below. Remember, represent.